Welcome back to Big Content. I'm joined here by Mr. Jack Settleman. I'm Nick Ercolano, and I think we should just jump right into the fact that you're trying to hack TikTok right now.
Well, I wanted to jump right into the fact that we finally got something up on the wall for me.
We got a new decoration.
I think it's going to motivate. Like, Big Content YouTube needs to get to 100K.
It's going to motivate me because I'm going to be like this.
Just watch.
I'm not actually looking at you. I'm just looking at the plaque the whole fucking time. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of artwork. Animal said it looks like it's cool that they put it as like a mirror there because it's almost like you're a thumbnail looking back at yourself.
Wow,
it's deep shit, right?
Okay, I like that.
It's beautiful. I don't know what it looks like on camera. We are obviously starting this podcast. We're in I think it's the 4th episode. It's already been a month. Damn.
Crazy.
That's weird. Yeah. So we're trying out some new tactics to try and grow. And Jack texted me last night and was like, "Yo, I'm gonna try to do something that Mr. Beast suggested." And the way you said it, you emailed me like what it was, what you sent out. It felt like a little bit of the Andrew Tate type path, which I was surprised Mr. Beast went about this.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Obviously, Andrew Tate was everywhere before he got kicked off all the social platforms. Mm-hmm. He had maybe briefly talked about it, but I kind of thought that fans just did it naturally. But it sounds like his was a coordinated attack as well.
That's like his Hustlers University, I think, is his product. Gotcha. And then once you're in there, it's like a course. Not that I know from personal experience, but
I was gonna say we're giving Andrew Tate way too much.
No. I mean, he absolutely murdered. He was like Mr. Content in 2022. So it's good to look at those kind of blueprints and see what he did. But he had this like course, and I think within the course, like I don't know if you unlock new levels or something, or if it was like an affiliate thing where you got paid more money for doing this. But he had thousands and thousands of people just cutting up clips from his thing and like posting on TikTok. And the reason, we'll get into in a second exactly like what your thought process was, but I think the reason it works so well is because the virality of TikTok is so fucking random. So if we put out one clip from one account, it's like, sure, it could work. But if we put out the same clip from 10 accounts, like we just need one of them to hit and go for like 50K, and there you go, some new 50K people eyeballs on it. So you, from what I understood, basically made a Snap story?
Well, I gave credit to Mr. Beast because on a different podcast, he said it's such a prime time for podcasts because you can then just disperse this everywhere. Like, podcast growth is the hardest. It's the absolute hardest on any type of social media content perspective. And so now he's like, you've got TikTok to just run your stuff. Now, I don't know what the conversion necessarily is, like taking it from there to there. But for us, I think growing just awareness of what we're talking about, the more people see us, the better, and the more likely they are to listen. So last night, put up a Snap because I get asked all the time, I'm sure you do, which is like, I want to work for Snapback. I want to help you out. How can I be involved? And I always tell people, like, it's more work on me to create a role, train you up, all this stuff. For this specifically, I was like, all right, I'll give you the free tool. I'll tell you the podcast drops on Monday. You got to watch an hour show once a week, and you can create a free TikTok account. Everything's free. I'm not going to train you. I'll give you the tools to do it. I could actually pull up the email right now.
I was going to say, Tony will put it up on the screen for you, what you hit him with.
So the email is essentially, glad to hear you're interested. Every Monday, Big Content podcast drops. You'll then create a clip or clips for TikTok like this. And I listed like some podcast TikTok clips. And then it's like many people say they're interested, right? And we talked last night. You said how many? So I would say so far I've probably sent out, I've gotten 500 plus responses.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you had like 30 last night when you told me.
So I've gotten 500 plus responses on Snap. Then I have to send a message to them for them to email me. So I've probably gotten like 200. I
love that. You're in it though.
Yeah.
You're getting after it.
Oh, yeah. I'm always in the replies. And then I probably sent out like 200 or so. 80 or 100 of them came this morning. So 100 last night. You said 2 people would actually go through and do it. For a long time or for like to ever do it?
So basically you got, 30, 70, 80 responses or whatever. And, we've talked about this before, but like conversion rate of getting things done within a fucking business just gets so small as you go down. Every time you ask somebody to do something more and more and more, fewer people want to do it for one reason or another. So when I'm looking at that, if 70 people are interested in it, then you give them, directions. One, like people are bad at reading. People are bad at like comprehending what they need to do. They need to be like spoon fed everything. So that probably knocks off half the people once you actually send them the email.
Yes.
Then they need to figure out a lot of different things. Right? It's not an.
It's simple, but at the same time, it's complicated and it takes work. Like if you don't know how to edit on these tools, you have to go edit. I sent them tools to do it. So I was kind of helping them as much as I could, but I'm not going to train them and do stuff like that.
No, so it gets dwindled down to like, if you tell them to make a clip, I would say maybe 2 people try, or maybe 5 people try, but I can guarantee you, like, if 5 people tried, 3 of them are going to be terrible. 3 of them are going to be like, okay, maybe this one's like good enough that I could work with this and be like, hey, these are a few things that I would do differently for the next time around. And a lot of the times, like in the same way that we launch projects or start things and we don't see like instant gratification or instant results, we're like, maybe this just doesn't work. I think those people might feel the same way.
10 times, 10 times more.
If they make a video for us and it gets like 7 views or something, they might be like, I don't know, or they're not getting paid fucking $500 right up front. It's like, I don't know why I'm wasting my time doing this, but it's the idea behind building a brand that's so powerful that you get to just say, hey, anyone want to do this shit for me for free? And 500 people are like, I'm dying. I actually think like in a few years, we're going to see people trying to pay to work for you or for me or for these kind of companies.
People do that through like traditional internships, but to your point, there is no guarantee at the end. In the email, I did mention, like, I'm not going to promise anything, but could I totally see someone crushing this and then they have the skill set for a role we'll need in the future? Like 100%.
So
I'm not like presenting it as a contest, like best person wins and gets a job or anything like that. Which decreases the rate that I think we'll see people do. Yeah,
100%. It's like you're just kind of buying in with blind faith and hopefully it works out. But if they trust in you and your brand, then they kind of believe what you say and they'll go all in on it. And there's something I talk about often. It's just like, don't tell me what you could do, just show me what you can do, right? And you've given enough like context behind what someone would want. And if I'm passionate about your brand, like I'm killing this job. Like there's no doubt in my mind I'm going to be the one who's getting hired for it.
Right.
And we have examples in our office. Tony's like literally this path, right? Yes. Like we had a kid working for us for free like a couple of years ago. He was doing a best of weekly vlog. So we put out tons of content and we're like, yo, just chop up something that's, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 14 minutes of the best of the pieces of content throughout the week. And that's really hard because we're putting out long form content, right? So it's hard for him to chop that down. He did it for a while and then he was like, yo, I want to get more into like the content side and do fantasy football stuff. I'm like, we're not really looking for that here. Tony happened to have like emailed me the next week after that kid kind of left. And I was like, oh, this thing just like kind of opened up. No editing experience whatsoever. Never done that before in his life. And I was like, you can learn this, take it on. And like, that was it. I didn't say like there was an opportunity afterwards. I didn't say there was like XYZ afterwards, but he did that for me for, I don't know how long he did, maybe like 4 or 5, 6 months, just like every single week did it, thought it was awesome. Like I'd conversed with him enough that I'm like, okay, he's like a normal person, someone I get along with for sure. And then I slowly started kind of putting more and more work onto his plate. Like, here's one fantasy video. Can you do this a week? And then he hit me one day and was like, yo, I'm moving to New York. My brother lives there. And I didn't tell him like, again, we didn't have a job opening. We didn't have like an internship.
I remember this. This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And he just like moved. We ended up meeting up. Like I said, ended up being like someone that I could like jam with and someone that I got along with. And he started to take over more and more of the editing duties. And then in the summer, when I'm doing like 5 individual videos a week for fantasy stuff, he started editing every single one of them. And as soon as I've told him this before, I was like, had I not got the office space, I still would have hired him full time just because of the work that he put in for so long. I didn't pay him I don't think I paid him a dime for the first like a year, maybe more than that.
I was on the outside looking in, but in general, I feel like you almost make yourself irreplaceable.
Because if he
walked away,
I had that Sexy came into my office the other day, and I was like, Sexy, you're a smart kid. You're resourceful. Like, I know if I ask you to do something, like, you're going to get it done. If you don't, you're going to come back with different options of what I can do, or just tell me, ask for advice or whatever. And I was like, I want you to make yourself irreplaceable here, because that means you're doing a really good fucking job and you're pushing us forward. So that's, like, do such a good job, go above and beyond always. You might, if you can make yourself irreplaceable, then that's it. Like, they can't fucking replace you.
Right. And then you get leverage, and when you ask for a raise or more benefits or whatever it might be, we're excited to give it to you, right? Because you have proven yourself, and we don't want to go through a hiring process and other things like that. And that's a huge thing too.
How do you think about that? Because I tell them that too. I'm like, listen, you guys are all on like 2-year contracts. When we have that discussion down the line of how valuable are you to the company? Like, how many things have you learned here? You need to build your own leverage so that when it comes to that point, you're like, I want to raise here, or I want to do this, or this. I don't really have a choice but to say, like, you've earned the right to do that. As a media company, I don't want to say like I'm torn between it, but on TikTok, right? Like we have our brand account that's up to 600 now, but Tony's also like 115 by himself. I think Ike's at like 80, 90 or whatever. I'm like, this is you building your own like personal leverage.
Yeah.
So I tell them to like continue doing that, but they've kind of like slowed down on it. And it's something that I feel like more people out there need to understand, especially like people that are working for you for Snapback.
Yeah.
Do you have any like content creators that you see being like the future of the brand besides yourself?
So it's something we want to actually hire for. So I want to bring a already established creator under the Snapback Sports umbrella. My brother, like people know him as the intern. That's like what I called him, but he hasn't really pushed forward in like being a content creator. Riley, who runs our social media, actually has a Twitter account that's like Celtics based that's got 20,000 and crazy engagement, but he's not like your traditional digital video creator either. So we want to bring someone in. I think it works in both ways, right? Like Barstool's a perfect example. Big Cat, PFT, the huge personalities there, they could run without it. A lot of their other creators are personalities. They have leverage because they have good following, but on their own or alongside at a different company, maybe not as effective. So like same could be said for those guys, but it is still leverage. Like it is saying I've built a personal brand. I can help grow this stuff. People care, etc.
Yeah. It's like at the end of the day, it's like rising tides, you know, it's like you want other people to build something within the company that you could also rely on. So, you know, if there are days that you want to take off or something, it's like, I know he will have my back here. He'll be able to put something out that like gets to the same level had I been there or whatever, you know? So it's kind of tough as a media brand.
You said, so you were talking about not paying Tony for a long time, working with long form. I am very conscious of and very particular in the belief of like, I think in the sports world, people get taken advantage of. Like you go work a sales job for the Jets or you go work, you know, long hours for a minor league baseball team. You're being paid hourly. You're living in a crappy city. They're abusing you, you know, that type of thing. And sports internships, are commonly unpaid. And so there's been this big push in this world where it's like
conversation
where should you pay your interns? And actually a fair point, I was very lucky, like my parents could support me or I had worked and had money. A lot of people don't realize that an unpaid internship a lot of the time is an advantage. Like not everyone can just accept an unpaid internship.
Would you take an unpaid intern?
Would I take one?
Right
yes.
now? Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, given the political climate. I'm serious. That's a serious question.
Okay,
if someone came to you and it was like, I'm
general?
going to do a free internship at Snapback, like hire me to be a free intern at Snapback, and you as the boss would have to be like, I have an intern that I'm not paying for the next 6 months.
I'm fine with that, but to my earlier point, that just feels like more work on me. But if they came to me with a plan and said, here's what I would like to do for my internship, and it's unpaid, then yes, I would
that was
mentor
what I
them.
was getting at.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think if you're the New York Giants that you should be not paying your interns. You have enough money. And we do too. Like if we wanted to, that's the thing though. But if someone came to me and was like, I want to learn and be mentored, that's what made me feel comfortable with this kind of social experiment of you got to watch 1 hour podcasts once a week. That's 1 hour of your time. And this editing, depending on how good you get, you spend 2 to 3 hours. You skip a game of 2K that night. You skip a Netflix episode. And like it should teach you a good life skill. So I'm not, and I can't pay, 100+ people. Yeah. So I felt comfortable doing it like that.
Yeah, I have an opinion on this. I think it's if you are the one that's going, if we're hiring a position, we need an intern,
right?
100% paid. Like I wouldn't go out and look for an unpaid internship. Right. But at this point, we have so many people reaching out to us like, hey, I want to do this, or this for you. And we have a bunch of emails that are just like, I'll work for free. I really don't have a problem fucking having a kid slave away.
And normally they end up getting paid if they're good.
Exactly.
It, like,
right. It was going to work out in the long term or it wasn't, regardless of like how it started. I also think there's a little bit of like, I don't like when people are like, oh, they should get paid this, they should get paid this. And it's like, everyone wants to work in sports.
Right.
Like when you're trying to break into an industry that's like creative, an industry that's really competitive, what have you done to earn the right to be like, oh, I want a good job in this and I want to get good money in this? Like it's very tough. Like you need to be, I don't want to say the best of the best, but you need to stand out, and that's amongst one of the ways to do it. So the younger generation, like if you have the drive and the grind and you have some backup financially where you can put the work in without having to like kill yourself and live in on the streets and whatever, like put the fucking work in, because we appreciate that up top. It might not seem like that from the start always, but like, listen, it will work out in the long run. That's like the only way to really get your foot in the door these days.
Yeah. I think your quote I've thought about a lot over the last couple of weeks of like negotiating with yourself. And then I posted something myself last night of like, just show up every day. Like literally show up every day. What percent do you think you beat up by just showing up every single day? I said 99%.
I would. That's for sure correct.
Like, and then if you don't negotiate with yourself, then maybe like 0.1% is left. All right, now maybe I'm not as talented as the 0.1, but now I'm in the 0.1% of people. So, anyways,
people. The reason is people don't fall in love with talent, bro. They fall in love with like insecurities and vulnerabilities. So if you're there every single day, you're showing your true self, and people are like, oh, you're not like doing anything cool today. But that's like what's cool about getting to know you. Right. It's like you have these days where you off. You have these days where you're sad or depressed, or you have these days where things aren't working for you. And that's just as good as being talented. Like when it comes to building a brand and building a community, like people want to relate on that level. Being awesomely talented is not relatable.
No.
It's fun, but I also think the other side is just as valuable when you're building a brand or community.
Yeah. Show up every day. So anyways, Nick said specifically, he said, probably get 3 to 4 people at least to try. Would be surprised if more than 2 end up making multiple clips. So that was where I was in agreement with you, that multiple, like you said, we've been doing this for a month already. Like in a month's time, how many people will still be doing it? So we got about 5 people who have already done some clips. So I'll show you. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
So we've got
if anyone's interested in doing clips for us after this entire talk,
you don't have to do anything. Like I told them, you don't have to tell us. Like just go watch this podcast.
Join the Discord. Yeah, and just let us know.
Make a clip and post it to your own TikTok. So we've got Jack Settleman clips. This one did 600 views though.
Unreal. That's more than I've done.
Yeah. So this one was a weird one actually. I'll show you. When content is your life, that is every moment. Like if Hallie's lucky enough, she'll get a proposal at some point. It just went to a random. Yeah, that's what I mean. But that is like, at least they used a song. At least they made an edit, and at least they did it.
Tried, and
right?
They did it.
So this person already, like, if they sent me an email follow up that was like, I made this one, I would have been like, all right, you're in. So then so that was the first one I saw. Or no, this one maybe.
Nerdy's in 2022 though.
It is. No, it is. Dad bods were 21. Nerd is 22. So this
is what I expected. A lot of like a lot of clips that were not good for TikTok.
4 clips they've made already. All 4 of them have gotten over 500 views.
That's fucking big.
So there's like
they all did Jack Settleman clips.
Well, I love that. No, some people's like Ryan made his own account. He didn't listen perfectly, but said showing my work for Snapback Sports. And he pulled a Mark Cuban interview that I had done. Mm-hmm. He's got 800 views. I actually thought that was smart because no offense to us, but Cuban probably pulls more eyeballs. We've got Scotty Snap Sports.
He was talking about, similar to something we brought up in the first episode, was like the dispersion of YouTube shorts from YouTube. And he's like, I've talked to the people at YouTube, like I yell at them all the time. And obviously, a company that's that big, they're going to move extremely slowly. So even if Mr. Beast walks up in that shit and starts yelling at you, it's like we still need 6 to 12 months to implement anything that's at that scale. But he talks about how like YouTube shorts are going to be like a major pillar of what they're doing.
Same thing, like you said. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's way more work than I imagined, given the time frame as well. Because I remember like when we found the guy before Tony, his name was Robert. Mm-hmm. I went through the same process, being like, "Yo, I'm looking for this. Does anyone want to do it?" Sent out like 30 emails, and I remember like 2 people got back to me. 2 people like didn't do it correctly. You know what I mean? It just went down that process where it's like I just feel like it's not that difficult.
I think the beauty of this one is like I'm almost saying like fuck it. Like I don't care if you don't respond. I don't care if you don't want to do it. I don't care if the clips are crappy. We just want volume. And I think that is now the quality plus the volume is the ones that'll be successful and the one that will probably end up getting hired.
We actually also, if you go to our TikTok and you scroll back to the beginning of it, there was a kid running our TikTok account for probably like 8 months, just taking clips of my fantasy stuff and putting it on there. Didn't know who the kid was. I don't even remember how he got access to our fucking account, but he did it for so long. But he like never really did the TikTok clips native to TikTok, and it's just like nothing ever happened with them.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of bad about that, to be honest, because he did a lot of shit for us for a really long time.
But that's part of it is like, yes, the first leg is learning how to edit it. The second leg is understanding the platform and understanding like that. I don't know if he intentionally picked Mark Cuban or not, but that was really smart. Like you use Cuban's face, you use the edit that was completely random part of last episode, like only got 600 views because he used music.
I can't wait to put that up on the screen. That was crazy. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays itself out. It was smart though. Maybe I'll do the same thing here. I feel like you have a young enough audience that is like fiending to get on TikTok and make those clips.
That's what I thought. And then I got messages from people working full-time jobs who are 30, who have families. One person literally responded. 30? Yeah. One person responded and was like, I'm single, income family, work a full-time job. Like, will I still be able to do this? I was like, yeah. Like, it's completely up to you to go and do this thing. And I think that's the fun of it. So we'll see. But in the scheme of these social clips, we discussed potentially a social brainstorm today.
Yeah, so we we just kind of started this off the riff, this podcast, and we're figuring out how we want to promote it and the structure of the podcast itself. Like, I mean, shout out to us for 4 episodes in, and we literally haven't really planned a single thing. We've just riffed for an hour every single week.
Last episode was scary. I was like, we could go for 2.5 hours.
Dude, I can't believe
we got to an hour. I was like, wait, what?
I'm not kidding. I'm not even exaggerating to tell you I was still like kind of high from the day before from the edible. Yeah. So like while we were going through it, I was like having like low-key anxiety attacks. So when I rewatched it, I was like, that came out way better than I thought it was. I was like, didn't want to record last week, but we're back in a better mindset now. Now we're trying to figure out like, okay, we're putting time into like YouTube, like Tony's editing the full YouTube. We're putting it up on podcast, but we know the real way to grow is going to be through social clips like that. So we want to say like, okay, what's the right direction here? Do we continue to just cut up clips from the podcast that are like kind of native to TikTok that are vertical and go that way? Or do we make segmented pieces of the podcast that we say like, hey, maybe for the next 10 minutes, we'll just do this. Like you brought up like a factor or whatever it was, that kind of section. And I think that's probably the best bet because it's the same advice that we give to everybody. It's like, if you want to grow, you got to go to the platforms where growth is possible. And TikTok,
especially YouTube Shorts is what would, I don't know if we could get our little, what should we call our army of editors right now? Just an army of editors, like the crew. We'll come up with a nickname for them, but
the big edit.
Yeah, the big edit. But I would love for them to make YouTube short stuff too. That's probably going to be the best way to also grow. Because when the podcast isn't that big, the awareness is good. But if people come and are like, oh, there's only a couple hundred people watching, maybe they're not going to watch. You got to build up the channel first and then obviously.
Yeah, so I think segmented pieces of the podcast where they're just like more fun, like getting into something deeply for like 2 or 3 minutes at a time plays better in today's world. Yes. There's a part of me that's like, I like that. There's a part of me that's like, I don't like that because I like having more like deep introspective conversations because that's the kind of stuff I listen to on the flip side. But I also realize as I get older, I'm like a weird fucking dude and things I like are not what.
No, you're right. I think of a podcast as long form, long in-depth conversations, not stuff that's just supposed to be like cut up for social. But like you said, like we can't.
So it's like what is our overall goal here? Do we want to build a really big podcast or do we just want to get our faces out there to be known as like big time content creators? I think that's what we like reverse back from it.
Well, I think we probably want to grow the podcast and then like anything, once you have the audience, you can then kind of do whatever you want. That's the key for me. So it's like, look, if we got to sell ourselves short, now we could probably middle it. Like the first half hour could just be long form and the second half could be, we're trying to maybe go more clip heavy. But once you build the audience, then you can just go into that long form and then the long form becomes those social clips. But right now we've kind of got to game the system is what I would say. Yeah. That's really the key.
All right, let's think of some fucking segments here then.
So I think one segment would be like, we don't need to name the segment, although like show me the money, something like that comes to mind, but it's something money, right? Like where we can discuss. So last week we discussed Mr. Beast's valuation. We discussed, what's his name? The TikToker?
Yeah, you brought him up. I had no idea what his name.
Yeah, but whatever.
Was that like a? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were actually doing that, being like, "What's his name?"
No.
I was like, "That's such a good impression."
Like, how much is he worth? So, like, if we open by saying, "Do you think Mr. Beast channels are worth $1 billion?" Right? That actually, it's more so like framing the segment as opposed to planning a social cut, but like knowing that the first second is so important. And then it's like your response to it. So something about money.
Money related for sure. Yeah. I think maybe, you know what we could do? We could take like a viral clip each week, possibly, and kind of like do a breakdown on it.
Yeah.
What makes it like super interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's like maybe some component of like risers, fallers in terms of either like a brand, a content creator. If we bring in like one riser, one faller of the week based on what's happened in the previous week or something we could do.
I like that a lot. And on that, maybe even a breakdown of like a paid social clip or paid partnership or a piece of
between a creator and a brand. Yeah, it's kind of fire.
That and these things, like if we don't have one for next week, it could be the week after. But I think just these key cogs, I think, will be important to kind of outline. All right, so a viral video, a paid partnership, something money related. I think those are good starts. I think Q&A is
always. We just always forget to fucking ask for questions. Yeah.
I mean, this will help us know that, like, now that we've got the schedule, we'll know that we're releasing Monday, what clips we need to create, and then what clips the Army will create, the big edit.
It makes it a lot easier for me, too, if I want to cut up clips for it, knowing where I need to go. Because typically the schedule is like, we release these on Monday, and then I watch it, and then I'm like going through it, and I'm like, okay, 7:45, like this is a good clip to go. And I'll go through the hour, and I'll write down like 6 timestamps or whatever, go back and like cut them out, edit it, whatever.
How have the shorts been going for you so far? I saw a couple.
A couple of them have. I mean, they've got more views than a regular podcast. You know what I've noticed though? Watch this. If we go back into our analytics here, you could see
we're gaining subs. And that, you know what's funny about the subs is I made everyone subscribe to the thing, which is another like growth hacky thing. It's like there's we get a couple hundred subscribers just by.
So like all the videos we put out, they'll be like 100% like rate, but the shorts for whatever reason, just like I don't know if it's the nature of the platform. Yeah, like 78.6% likes and 21.4%.
What's our comments at? You get some comments on last episode. Okay.
Very happy with my ad spend.
Pete Overzet, here's your ad read again.
Honestly, I haven't seen any of these comments. I never realized I put it.
We got to be in the weeds, Nick. We have to.
I know. I just don't expect comments on our YouTube videos because I see the numbers are so low. So I'm like, we'll put it elsewhere.
No, people are watching. And that's the thing is even if we're hitting 200 really good creators, that's super impactful. All right. So what else?
Needed to fucking hear that, dog.
What else on the show?
All right. We got risers, fallers. You brought the factor cap. It would definitely need a different name, but I like the idea of something along.
Like, should we just do true or false?
No, we're more creative than that. We could think of something better.
Well, everyone like comes up with these different names.
We'll put that in the back burner.
We could do a draft. We could do some form of a draft. So it could be like brands that work with creators. We could do like the top creators. Like if we did a fantasy draft like that. We could draft content plays really well.
Drafts are great, like social platforms, creators on TikTok, creators on YouTube.
Yeah, like where would you start if you wanted to be a creator today? Where would you start? Draft
101. Yeah, that's actually kind of fire. Okay. I like that a lot. Yeah, those are good.
What else? So draft plays, trivia plays great.
We could also, I don't know how much time you have, but I almost feel like if you can
I have meetings.
If you can come in here full time from now on Monday to Friday. Now, like if we have, even if we section off like a half hour another time of the week, or even if I like came to your apartment and we filmed dedicated segments just to shorts and just to TikTok, we could do that too. Yeah. If we have some of these games that like we can't do, 7 like our podcast can't just be 7
out there.
Correct. Yeah. Green screen or whatever, those mini podcasts. Yeah.
Why would you need to come to my apartment? Why wouldn't we do it right here?
I was just making it easy for you, because I'm like, you're a busy guy, you got meetings and shit, so I can meet you halfway. You come here every Wednesday.
I don't have the whole setup. No, I could.
Plus, I see what Haley be cooking up at the apartment for dinner and shit.
All right, so we got a bunch of different segments. As always, audience, feel free to be creative, come in with ideas, different games we should play. I think it's just a fun, unique way of looking at.
I also think this right here, what we just did, is really important before you start something. So I made a TikTok today. I did like a stitch from he's a creator in New York, this kid who basically was like, for my fellow creators, like how do you stay inspired, or how do you get like mentally in the zone when you want to create something? Yeah. He's like, I have a lot of projects that come into my mind and I want to like capitalize on all of them.
I have a question for all of my creatives out there. How do you get in the zone to create? And like what
creators need direction, in my humble ass opinion. A lot of creators have this idea that like everything they do needs to be like artsy and cool and like no real direction to it, but I think that can't be farther from the truth. I think creators need to be way more calculated. Like a lot of creators think about the idea of this and they're like, oh, I need to be, really out there and edgy and artsy and all this stuff. And I'm like, we're calculated as creators, a lot more than people would assume. So I think you need direction when you sit down. Just like if you were working in a corporate office, you need a game plan for the project that you're working on. There's no different than this. Like you make a to-do list of 3 things or whatever, and you say like, these are the 3 most important things that we're going to knock them down. And this is important for our show. Like we could sit here and I'm sure we could do 10 more episodes where we're just riffing for an hour, but it's not the high quality content that I think we're hoping for, that we're hoping to like grow this thing. We want higher quality. So it's like getting a direction, getting a game plan is a really good thing for a creator or an artist, right? Like a lot of people just think it's all free flow, but that ends up usually playing itself out where the quality, you're not like innovating on anything. You know what I mean? So like putting a game plan into effect and knowing where you're falling short and where you need to improve, really important for creators. So don't put past the idea that like it takes a lot of work. Preparation is part of the work for being a creator.
In the spirit of, because we haven't prepared and we do just jump around, another thought I had in the shower today, this is sponsored by Dove, is that I think there's a unique opportunity to almost like over leveraging yourself and like buying a new computer, or buying a camera, or buying a podcast mic that will force you to do and create.
That's interesting.
Because a lot of people, right, they'll start, now that you can just start on your phone, you post 6 TikToks and you're fine. But any time in my life that I've actually made the jump to buy the camera, I'm not just going to let it sit there. And so if you get outside of your comfort zone and spend a little too much money, it's actually going to force you to do stuff.
I think you're in the minority. I think most people won't do things because they feel like they don't have the perfect stuff. It's like this battle of perfectionism.
But that's what I'm saying, is go buy the camera.
Right, but what I'm saying is that doesn't change who you are as a person.
Interesting.
Like buying $1,000 camera is not going to change your work ethic. You know what I mean? Like I get it. It might be like a Band-Aid at the time and it might work for you, but that's why I say I think you're in the minority. But I've talked about this numerous times because some people are like, what kind of this should I get? What kind of that should I get? I'm like, dude, let me show you the link in my first few YouTube videos that helped me start growing. Right. Didn't have a microphone when I was doing it. The camera was like 480p. And I think it holds a lot of people back because they feel like they need that. Maybe for some people that is the push.
But that's what I mean.
Personally, I've never found that to help.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like when I bought the camera, then we finally did it. When I bought an Xbox, we started to create content around the Xbox. And maybe it is the minority of people, but for you, maybe it could be a push over the edge.
Yeah, for instance, like I'll give you an example. Like I still to this day, as weird as it is, like I've talked about this before, I don't love vlogging in public. I still feel like kind of uncomfortable doing it. Yeah. And I've bought cameras throughout the years that are like, oh, this one's more like vlog friendly. It's smaller, it's more compact, it's got a flip out screen. Right. Like this will help me push myself to vlog more. Yeah. You get it and you're like, it doesn't make me less nervous. It doesn't make me less afraid of like what the people around me are like doing while they're watching me do that shit. So that from a mental standpoint, I just don't think it like actually is a thing. But it's an interesting thought.
Okay, maybe it's the thought of, maybe it's not the buying of equipment, but it is the thought of like forcing yourself to do it.
Feels like progression, yeah.
Right, because I'll say for the past 2 years, like I did stuff with the Game Day, who I know you've talked to, and now with Snapback Mondays, like going out on the streets, doing man on the street content is extremely uncomfortable for me. Now we've gotten to week 6 coming up of Snapback Mondays, it's all gone. Like I'm ready to go, but I will not lie. The first 4 weeks, like I was afraid to talk to people. I didn't want to like upset people and destroy their tailgating experience, like stuff. And now I'm like, this is what I do. And just going and doing it and getting over that hump. That's why I just always talk about reps. Reps, it'll improve you. But
man on the streets is tough too.
It's tough.
That's one of the more.
You get people who don't want to. It's like sales. It's live sales.
The less control you have over something, like the more variables that you don't have control over, the tougher it is. Because it's like, am I going to act awkward? Is this person going to act awkward? Do I have the next question ready for them? Like, are they going to start asking shit? Are they going to do something weird? You know, there's so much shit happening at once that man on the streets it's not a job for most people, to be honest with you.
And it's not for me, but I think that's the push is we said we're going to do this and then we didn't negotiate because now I'm like, all right,
negotiate.
We're 50 grand deep into this idea and we've got sponsors that we have to get content for. Now I'm at the point of no return. And
for the Monday Night Football stuff?
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in there a little bit. 50 grand deep, that's to say that's the investment up front.
Yeah, that's essentially the budget. I mean, it could be more.
Like, so you and who on your team?
So me and Casey go to every Monday Night Football game.
Which is an insane thing. Like, that's very admirable. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's insane. We hired a full-time video editor because of it.
Okay.
We hired a full-time social media manager because I no longer could do that. So if you want to count that as the investment, you theoretically could.
Yeah, I think so.
Tickets, flights, hotels, food, everything that goes with the game.
Damn, that's an investment like I wouldn't be willing to make, because I don't know how you even, and it's so weird because I'm not actually this calculated typically, but I don't know how you look at that and say like, oh, I'm going to get like a good return on investment from something like this.
So one, we knew with our underdog deal that like we could cover the costs, right? So we were always playing as like, it's not going to be a loss of funds theoretically because we're getting content out of it. So the upside is that we could then just like go viral, meet fans in different markets. Like, it's a biz dev kind of awareness play. And now we've worked with the league, we've worked with individual teams, we've gotten great content from it, and then we went and sold against it. So we've made more than we will spend doing it. So
really?
Easily a positive awesome. ROI. I mean, we're at like 25 million views, most off Snap.
We're like 5 weeks in.
Yeah, most off Snap, but like Instagram has popped, YouTube has popped, TikTok has popped, and it's just like we're throwing darts. Like, some of my reels get 1,000 views, and no brand cares about that. But
so your ultimate goal would be like, okay, awareness. People are understanding more of our brand, understanding more of our personality, hoping to convert into more like sponsors and advertisers in your future content.
We're just trying to grow following, really. Is like that everyone, Bleacher Report, ESPN, SportsCenter, Game Day, everyone just posts the same content, right? It's like the biggest football play of the night. So what can we get that's unique to kind of our brand?
I actually think that's something I can learn. And I can learn from you guys, and what you're doing is like, we're so product focused with our fantasy stuff that the reason I hesitate on doing stuff like that is because it would never really lead back to sales on our direct product. Direct product.
Like for Underdog, right, who's a sponsor of this, I mean, they're a sponsor of us in general. They are not they're not paying us more to do this specifically. We could sit at home, post picks, and people would take them, and we'd still make our money doing that. But the group ride is now just a new content angle. SeatGeek, we could promote SeatGeek all day long from home, saying if you want to go to a game, but actually going to a game, saying we use SeatGeek is just playing better and showing that experience. And then we have a deal with the NFL All Day, which is NFTs, moments, and interviewing fans. Would you rather own this player or this player? Similar to your Mojo stuff.
That's pretty cool. I actually want to dive deeper into the process of like negotiating with these brands on a higher scale like that. Maybe we'll do that another time, because we are talking about live events, and we both have a live event coming up this weekend, the same event that I kind of just like was like, oh, you're doing this, so we're going to do this too. We wanted to do some in real life events for the people that held our NFTs, and this happened to be before it got cold out. We're like, let's try to get them together for this, and it's a year-long pass, so like we can do things together in the spring and summer. But this felt like a good time. So we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to the New York Giants, so MetLife Stadium, we're hosting a tailgate. You guys are hosting a tailgate with your audience, which is going to be, I think, near where we are, right? You said?
Yeah, we're L18 and you guys
L16, are 16, baby. Yeah, so
we're gonna fight. We're sending
you don't want? Have you seen Animal? So we have this live event coming up, and we took very different. Ours is on a much smaller scale because we were only telling the people that already had this product. We weren't like promoting it out to TikTok and Instagram. So I went down to UGA this weekend for my cousin's game, and we're like celebrities down there. I didn't realize it was like every 5 minutes.
If your TikTok is the one, that's why I put so much attention on it. Like, we're huge on Snap, but I gotta announce, and it's only my audience who really knows me. But TikTok, you get new audience all day.
It was fucking crazy. Yeah. Like walking around every 2 seconds. I'm like, I didn't really understand that we had like the pull within that demographic. I'm like, oh, we can do more live events, right? We can do more stuff like that really like shows out and is a brand community builder. And that's what I've always looked at as live events. As one of the things that we do yearly is this draft weekend where we have 11 subscribers fly out to New York, and we hang out for the weekend. We have a fantasy football draft, and we just like kind of party in New York for the entire weekend. And these dudes pay a lot of money. Last year's was, if you were grandfathered in, it was $1,500 a head. If you had already, if you were new to it, it's $2,000 a head. So it's not a small investment for people that are our age.
And that's just to get in, right?
Well,
does it cover their travel and everything?
So that covers everything except getting to New York.
Gotcha.
It'll cover their fantasy buy-in, which is like a $250 league. Gotcha. It'll cover, the Airbnb. It'll cover food, alcohol, going out for the weekend. So realistically, like, okay, we'll pocket, let's say $20 to $25,000 as a company. I lose money every year on it. Like, I take money out of my personal bank account to buy bottles at the club when we run out on the Saturday night, because I swear to God, it's always my birthday weekend too. So we're balling, and it's like live events are, for us, from my experience, maybe I'm just horrible at it, but never made us a single dollar. They're so fun though. There's nothing better.
This one specifically, I did not think of as a revenue generating opportunity. There are, like, if you do a live podcast tour, there's value in meeting fans, people seeing you live, and a deeper kind of respect, but people make money off that stuff. Live events, though, I hate live events.
Really?
Not like going and meeting people, organizing them. That was the one thing I learned.
The logistics are so hard.
Thankfully, Alex, that's like his jam. Like he's the best at it. So good thing of knowing your strengths and knowing your flaws. Yeah, so this weekend it's a $50 tailgate normally, but thanks to Underdog and SeatGeek and our sponsors, they gave us money, so we're cutting half the costs off for people. But people were still like, you're making us pay $25 for food, drink, DJ.
How dare you?
Right, all this stuff. And I'm like, I just want to be like, I'm not making money off of this. It's so we can link up and create content.
That's at that point, I'm just like, don't come.
Right.
Like, if you're going to complain about 20, like, how much are you going to spend at your own tailgate if you go to it?
Well, that's the thing is, I think a lot of people are like, well, I could bring a 6-pack. I'm like, yeah, you could. Like,
have a good day.
Yeah, have fun doing that. But I definitely won't make money off of this event. But so similar thing, I think we think alike in that everything we do, we kind of try to be like, okay, where's the ROI on this in actual dollars? Because there's other versions of ROI, biz dev, and just awareness and stuff. And so we got a mini suite for the game, and it was and it cost $9,000. And that's coming all out of the Snapback Sports stuff. It's not we'll have a fan or two in the suite, but it's mostly like friends and family.
$9,000.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah,
it's very expensive. And so Hallie was actually the one pressing me about it, saying like, you spent that much on the suite.
What did she want? She was like, you could have spent this on me.
She wants a ring. And so this, I just want to like give my thought process. So maybe we got ahead of ourselves, but one, I think rewarding the people who have supported me is actually like a valuable thing because they show up every time. They actually are the ones who buy merch and like my shit and all that stuff. Two, we wanted to reward some of our partners. So Pop Chew, who we do Snapback Kitchen with, Danny Friedman, who's been helping us set up the whole tailgate. So we get to take care of those people, take care of Hallie's family. So it's a little bit of both. But the real angle to it was Emmanuel Quickly plays for the Knicks. He's from Baltimore, played against him in high school, and he's a Ravens fan. So I'm like, I'll invite him and a guest. And so that is the whole suite kind of contingent on was it a good investment if he comes? Because realistically, if I get an Instagram with him at the game, Nick, Raven, all these ties, it'll be super valuable for me long term. Not in the moment. It won't make me $10,000 in the moment. But now if he doesn't come, it's like, okay, was this a waste of money? Maybe.
When you were originally planning it, was he in the plans?
He was in for the suite. Like, because it was also just complicated because you can't get 14 tickets together. So this was like my easiest way of like taking that. So it took some stress off of me too. It probably shouldn't spend $10,000 to relieve stress.
It's a lot, yeah.
But it is what it is. And we've had a good football season so far. Like I said, like we'll be profitable on Mondays. It all kind of just goes back into it. So this might be an L. It really might be. But I just think being, sounds
like a really fun L though.
Yeah,
the best
right. That's the thing. Yeah. It depends. It depends how you look at it. It depends what your goals are. My goal was definitely to get him. Now, if he can't come, we might pivot, and we've got a new relationship with ScoMo,
with Nick
Ercolano, and we could get someone who brings more business value into the suite too, which would be a great gesture. But
so what are you planning to do at the tailgate specifically? Like you guys have all this stuff set up. Are you setting up like a merch table? Or are you setting up?
Yeah, we've got a merch table. So we'll have that stuff. We're also going to drop new merch.
How much merch are you bringing?
Casey said it's just going to be one box.
Was that like 10, 15 T-shirts?
Yeah, probably sweatshirts, a couple hats. It could be a huge box, could be a small box. I'm not really sure. But we'll have a merch table. we're supposed to have Snapback Kitchen being cooked live so people can actually try that. Sure. Yeah.
Like Pop Chew setting that up?
Yeah,
That's cool.
So like that's the thing is it all is how do you measure these things? And the reason why I've liked affiliate deals is like I can measure like how effective certain pieces of content are, certain engagements. This is like immeasurable. Like I won't know if someone then goes and invests in Pop Chew and invest. You just never know.
That's kind of your brand though. Yeah. You know, like you're a pop culture media brand. Right. You know what it is? It's like you just being there and like having fun and being in the energy of things is what you have to do in order to succeed. Whereas like that's my hesitation from where we are. Like I'm able to be a little bit more calculated because we have a little bit more control by selling our own product over what's happening. And maybe that has given me a sense of comfort and like held me back from like really trying to hit our ceiling there. Mm-hmm. So maybe we do more things like that over the course of the season where we're taking a little bit more risk financially and seeing what happens with it.
I think it's taking shots because you truly never know what could come out of it. Like I would say now through 5 weeks, we probably met, I would say like 20 to 30 people at every halftime meetup. So call it 100 people. Some of them, they took a picture, walked away. I'll never see them again, whatever. Some we had good conversations. Some they were with their dad who works for whatever. Mm. Some are going to be lifelong fans because we met them. So over 17 weeks, we're going to meet 500 people. You never know what, literally one of them could make the entire thing worth it. You never know.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean just go and like do shit, but take shots that maybe are a little bit out of the comfort zone.
All right, boys. We're going to Italy next week. We're good.
Animals in.
You know what was crazy today? I won Ike's lunch. I'm fucking sweet green, baby.
But Ike's lunch is, I think, continues this conversation of like,
love that.
You just took shots. Like that is not something that made any sense. How did it even start?
I mean, it was like the third day in the office, and we were joking. He went out to go get lunch, and Animal and Tony. I don't actually remember like whose idea it was or who started it, but I think Animal was like, "Oh, he's going to do this every single day. Like he's going to go pick up lunch every single day. We should just like guess."
Tony's taking credit.
We should just guess for fun, whatever. One of them 50-50 credit. And none of them are getting paid for it. They're both getting fired at the end of their fucking contracts, anyways. 50-50. They were like, we should just guess he's going to get lunch every single day, which is why I give Animal more credit because he's known Ike his whole life, so he knew he was going to do that. It doesn't make sense that Tony. Anyways, he was like, we should just start guessing. So when it started, it was just me and Animal. It was like Tony filming us on the phone, or we'd set up a camera and do it. And for the first like 25 days, they got like no traction. Mm-hmm. They would get a couple hundred views on it. And then there was one episode where it was Cinco de Mayo, and we were live streaming a mock draft on the couch. And we were getting hammered. We were drinking Mars, and Ike was in the office with us, and he was producing it. He was like, "I'm gonna get lunch. You want to do it like live on stream or whatever?" And we're like, "Sure." So we did a live stream of it, and I got it right. And I went, and it was like my first guess that I got right. We went nuts or whatever, but it was the first time that we did it as like a podcast over there on the couch. So we took that, chopped it up, uploaded it. That was the first time. All the other ones had probably gotten like 300, 500, 800 views. That went over 100K after the first day. And we're like, whoa, we have something here. That like couch podcast style of games or whatever is like probably where we need to leave, or where we need to have our TikTok going. So we just kept that, and we're like, we'll just actually make this basically what we're doing here at this table. Let's make it natively to TikTok, 2-minute, 3-minute podcast or whatever. And we turned that into Ike's Lunch, obviously, and then it just took off from there. But that was it. It was experimenting. When we came in here, we didn't have a TikTok presence. It was literally just like almost my own personal YouTube presence. And we were like, we got to figure shit out, and we got to figure shit out fucking quickly.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. That's why I want to bring in a content creator. But you took a shot in getting the office space. None of this happens without that.
Correct.
That's been your financial risk, is like you're putting people in person.
I put every dollar. I'll tell you honestly, before we got the office space, I probably had like $250,000-$300,000 in my bank account. I have less than 1 month rent in my bank account right now. Yeah, less than 1 month rent.
That's fun.
I'm like, it's not good right now, but like I put every dollar I've had into this, and it's paid back on the business end. I've invested so much into the upfront, because when you get into the office, it's like, oh, sure, rent, but here's like $500 electricity, $500 this for this,
lights, cameras.
You don't even like the equipment, like tables, couches, all that shit's like $5,000 here, $5,000 here, $5,000 here, and you never, like, the first year of moving into this place is so fucking expensive that, I mean, money will always be something that I'm anxious about now that I have all of this under me. Before this, it was not. I was able to like live very freely and be like, I make a whole lot of fucking money. I have like no real responsibilities attached to me other than making content. And now we got this whole fucking gang thing going on here. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking nerve wracking all the time. It's very nerve wracking. But yeah, there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened.
And that's the difference between being a creator and being a business person. But being a creator, you'll never make, I mean, if yes, you're in the 1%, not 1%, the 1 of 10 people who are only creators and just get 10 million views on their YouTube and just make AdSense money. But all these great creators are going to turn into entrepreneurs. That's where the real money is going to be.
That's where I was talking to a girl a couple days ago who's like, she's a founder. She went to like Stanford. She's in like a tech startup right now, and she raised money. She raised her seed round. She's like our age, maybe younger. I'm like, that's like really, really impressive. Yeah. And I was like telling her about what I do, and she was like, oh, you guys are low-key like the unicorns of this generation. The people who are like creators but also hardcore like entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to stand out over the next decade. And I was like, yeah, that's I agree with it. I don't like, it's weird to like say that out loud, but like in my head I agree with that. I'm like, there's not a lot of people that can do both, like business, creator, whatever. You have to be like really, really passionate about it. I think we both were from the start. But yeah, these are the risks you got to take. Like you're right, like TikTok doesn't happen if we're not in here. BDG3 doesn't happen if we're not in here. Like this podcast, a lot of things don't happen, right? You just like kind of push yourself out there. And I guess it's almost like a bigger scale version of you buying the new camera. You know, we got the
no, it is.
And
that's my point. So you can't say it didn't work for you.
You're not lying there. This is I think,
because if you imagine you had this space and you like didn't come in or didn't like,
that's what there's some days I don't want to come in. Right. I'm just like, I have to fucking be there.
Okay, so Nick fully agrees.
Not good for my mental health. I just want to go watch a goddamn sunset or something sometimes, you know.
He fully agrees with me now, and his push over the top wasn't $1,000 camera; it's $100,000 office.
Yeah, good times. Anything else to talk about today?
Yeah, whoever wants to join the edit army.
The big edit.
Yeah, hop in. But like, if I were sitting watching this podcast right now, maybe I can't beat out other people, but after just discussing that, my head would have gone to like, hey, I'll bring them topics to talk about. Like, there's always ways to get involved. I don't know. I assume your brain works the same way of like, there's always an angle, but you got to pay attention.
Oh, right. That's the most important part. Is like making it personal to you. It's just like, if you're going to reach out and be like, oh, I have this, or this, and it's like, how does that relate to me? If you're watching us, like find something we're struggling with and fill that fucking hole, you know, or find something that makes us happy. Like you're saying good things about us or whatever, that gets your attention immediately. Anytime you're talking about the person, it gets their attention. So it's like, yeah, it's a really good point. Like you could, I've almost cried like 4 times in this episode. So figure out where I'm struggling and then figure out how to solve that problem for me. You know what I mean? That's it right there.
All right. Big content.
Ep 4 in the novels. Join the Discord if you want to hang out with us. We're in there trying to be active. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, all that kind of shit. The TikToks from this have been, I guess, kind of scattered now that the big edit are putting them all over. But they're on my personal TikTok. I've been chopping up some clips. That's just at Nick Ercolano. And then YouTube, you guys already know.
Big content. Those out. How have those been running? Any good?
I've been going pretty heavy on TikTok. I've done at least like 2 a day for the last like month or so.
Okay.
But not only from this. I like to do like a bunch of.
The funny thing is I come from a Snap-based company that when we post anything, it gets 100,000 views. You now on BDG TikTok, it wavers, but any Ike's lunch gets 500,000 views or 250 plus. And then here, you've got your stuff and it's like, 703, same stuff with my TikTok, 120, 3,100. It's like, that didn't hit great. But then you look at like, if you get 1,000 people to listen to your
fucking
podcast,
relative though, dude. Like you don't understand like how equally excited I am about like that one hitting 3,200 as I am one on BDG hitting 320,000.
Same with me.
It's like when you're starting something, you always look at the people like myself or Jack and you're like, fuck, it's going to take me so long to get there. It's impossible to get there. You get equally as excited about the little fucking.
I was so hyped for that kid to have 600 views. That's like crazy numbers for the first.
That's amazing. One of the homies I was talking about, the dude Adam, in our last episode, I told him to start doing TikTok everything. Like his first video that he put out went to like 3,500 views, and that's got to feel fucking great for him. And I'm like,
think so.
Yeah, and I'm like, let's fucking go, And it all is just so relative to where you're at. You're not thinking about other people once you're actually doing things, Well,
think about. I think if you've got 1 million subscribers or 1 million views or 1 million anything, I think it's like 0.3% of the U.S. population.
Like on your TikTok account?
No, just in general. Like if you do anything, and 1 million people see it. That's 0.3% of the entire country. And then people always use the comparison, like, yeah, only 700 people watch. Imagine if you were in an auditorium. Like, that's a lot
Makes
of
it
people.
crazier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
All right, so hopefully we have half an auditorium watch this video. We'll be back next Monday. So again, if you have any questions, comments, whatever, drop in the Discord, drop in the comment section. We love you, and fuck big media.